Why don't we do this properly, shall we? I don't think I've ever actually done any of this proper. I just sort of jumped right into it all, which I guess is not a bad way to go about it. But we certainly do have to introduce myself, and maybe we should take a couple steps back. Okay, let me find a few things first so I can be comfortable. Okay, where would I have put that? Boop, 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 boop. Damn it! You know, I dropped the most important piece. I built it! But we're gonna take a trip down memory lane. Reason being, if I expect you cats to sit out there and listen to me yammer on about things, I would expect that you would want a little inside insight into the life of the person that you are sitting there listening to talk. This occasion does warrant a J-O-I-N-T.
Give me a J. J. You got your J. You got your J. Give me an O. O. You got your O. You got your O. Give me an I. I. You got your I. You got your I. Give me an N. N. You got your N. You got your N. Give me a T. T. You got your T. You got your T. What's that spell? Joint. What's that spell? Joint.
Just because if I am going to be talking about personal things and such, I ain't going to pretend like I ain't a recreational marijuana user. Don't, kids, don't. Actually, you could do worse. If you are going to be a recreational drug user, stay away from alcohol, heroin, pills, cocaine, crack, methamphetamines, things like that. Stay away from mostly everything. It's bad for you. It'll kill you. It'll drain you of any productivity. However, marijuana, now becoming legal, not just for medical reasons, but for recreational reasons, I support. We could do worse, folks. So, you got your J, you got your J. I remember it was so fun when we were kids. So, you know, when you're young and you're a kid and you're going through the experimental phase, everything was so ritualistic. Because the excitement in not being able to do it, but you're doing it and you still don't care, and you're with your friends. So therefore it's okay, safety in numbers. You know, when your friends are out there going on with their lives and doing things and you're stuck back behind, they're not really going to be your friends. I remember my father used to say shit to me like that. Yeah, yo, Buzz, when your buddies are out there doing their thing and you're stuck back here, you know, because you're a fucking loser, we'll see how big of a, buddies they are then. That never happened. All my good friends remain my good friends, and we're all successful people in our own ways. Some of us more so than others. If I do expect you to sit there and watch me talk about different things, and I do appreciate all of the people who are following along and supporting, I have to do it proper. My name is Casey Thomas, born and bred, Scranton, Pennsylvania, North Lincoln Avenue. I ain't gonna tell you what 100 block. Come find me. Aizveja. Went to West Scranton High School, graduated in class of 2003. That makes me 35 years old, about to be 36 real soon. Actually, 35, about to be 35 real soon. Coal country. Everyone likes to call it the armpit of America. However, I would like to differ. This town is wonderful. It has characters out the fucking dick hole, asshole, ear hole, nose hole, mouth hole. Characters out the hole. Not only that, but it has very rich history, theatrical history. Being this close to Manhattan and other bigger metropolitan areas, Scranton was always a runoff for everybody. I worked on films out in LA with very big stars who knew exactly where I was from because, as we all know, or for those of you who don't, Jason Miller, a la The Exorcist in that championship season, and Rudy, and many, many theatrical productions locally and professionally out there on Broadway. Jason Miller, local soul. Scranton's wonderful, and it's still full of culture. When I returned back from the West Coast, the theater scene was a little wobbly, but I found a tight group of friends around here, and we turned that shit around real quick. The Scranton Fringe Festival is going on. Connor O'Brien, wonderful heart, soul, and mind and talent in the area. A young kid, a dear friend of mine who I love so much. I've worked with him on so many different things, and he did get that Fringe Festival up and running and continues to. But being from Scranton has always made me proud. However, after who is this? Who is this? I have friends. But after I graduated high school in 2003, boom, headed off to LA because I had always wanted to be an actor. So instead of going to college for that, which of course I did audition for all these conservatories and such, and when it came down to it, my father said, I'm not going to pay all this money for you to get a certificate in something that you've always done. If and when you decide to go to college, it's going to be for your plan B. So if you really do want to pursue this, I suggest you just move away and work. And I took his advice, and on a whim, within 1 week, just made a decision to fly out to LA with zero plans. And then once everyone realized that I was serious about it, then my family started calling out favors like, okay, he's really doing this. Got in touch with a family friend, Eileen Beale, had lived out in LA and was able to reach out to her friend Leo Terry, who then became my LA daddy. I had $600. By the time I got to the airport, I only had $400. I won't tell you where the $200 went to. However, we're working with $400 and one Pepto-Bismol pink suitcase. I had no idea what was going on. For all I knew, this was just going to be, as my father said, well, if it's just a really great vacation and you're back soon, whatever. I think he just stuck that little seed of discouragement in my head to prepare me for either or. But the fact was, I flew out there. I got picked up on a super shuttle, dropped off on the corner of, Buena Vista and Magnolia, Fairview and Magnolia, either way. Walked to Leo's house, met him for the first time as he was throwing out a whole bunch of old food because his family owned grocery stores and he was able to go, like supermarket sweeps, he was able to go to the store and just take everything off the shelves and take it home, so therefore he always had a house full of a bunch of shit, and it would go bad, and he would have to throw it out. Shameful, shameful, shameful. I met Leo doing shameful, wasteful things. However, the rest is history. I started working the next day. That man took care of me, and he made sure that I had a vehicle, I had work, and I had a place to stay, and the beat went on. I worked steadily for many years out there, 6 years. I had issues, of course. Things went awry, maybe DUIs involved, maybe other little things involved. Nothing work-related. I was doing very well work-wise. I was on a very high upward trajectory as far as making connections, keeping steady, and being on the right path. But I was forced to come home, as many people in LA are. LA is a revolving door for these many different reasons. But I reluctantly came home, and of course when I came home I figured that it would just be, in my mind, in my heart, it would just be for a couple months till I got back on my feet, and I would be headed back out to continue working on TV and film. But of course that's not what happened, because I had the rugs pulled so hard out from under my feet that it wasn't a quick fix. It wasn't like, just go home and get back on your feet. I had really messed my situation up. So I was in a little bit of a depression for a while, at least the first 9 months, until I got the phone call from my friend and local actress, Kate McDonald, my very first onstage kiss, my girl. She called me and she said, hey, Case, we're doing a show up at Keystone College called The Drowsy Chaperone, and there's this great little part. It's got a small solo, and he's got a few great lines, and for whatever reason, we need you to fill the part last second. And I was like, okay, all right, yeah, get up off your ass. You haven't acted, and stop swallowing, and boom, got up, did that show. And I ain't gonna pat myself on the back. I stole that fucking show, and I had a blast doing it, and it totally reinvigorated my passion for, it squashed my depression. All I needed was applause. I know that sounds horrible and terrible, but all I needed was a purpose, and to remember what that purpose was, and to get off my high horse. I didn't have to be in LA doing professional union work in TV and film. as long as I was expressing myself on stage, I was just as happy, if not more. In LA, I didn't do as much acting as I did here. In LA, I did mostly technical work, stand-ins, which is pretty much you're on the crew. You're not an actor. All the little upgrades that I got was always because I was on set, present already, either as a stand-in or an extra. I never got to go out and do my own auditioning and all of that properly because I was so well set up and taken care of that I got comfortable. Cut to here now, I'm gonna, cut my teeth again in theater, and I spent 6-7 years doing local theater here and regional theater, loving every second of it, building relationships, building up theaters, helping participate in the local culture and arts here, where I was born and bred and raised. I ended up going back and doing shows for theater that I had done shows at when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So it came full circle. It was like, Casey is back to the Black Box Theater. So I spent many years here putting in my 10,000 hours again. Hundreds of productions, literally hundreds of productions, either acting in. I started directing many shows. I have since written, directed, and produced my own show. A couple. God, when I look back and I think, it's like, wow, I accomplished a real lot. And it was all because of that one phone call from Kate McDonald that got me off my ass. And a wonderful relationship. So I had somebody to do it for other than myself. It was time, place, opportunity, and willingness. So I'm so glad that I said yes to Kate. I'm so glad that this and that happened. Because now, at this moment, within the past 6 months, I'm back to TV and film, which led to some upgrades, which led to wonderful things. And the beat goes on. So while I'm back home here, I'm juggling many different things. I paint. I'm a house painter with Kevin Joyce. I bartend up at Bernie's Tavern 2 nights a week if I'm not out of town working. So I'm constantly doing something. So this, the new YouTube me, is really just a diary for myself, and also a way to create content that I'm in control of, in the meantime, because I love this shit. That's what I do. I'm just letting you know that this is me, this is my personality, and this is the way it's always been. I lost my mother about 6 years ago or so. When I came home from LA, I was lucky enough to be home, as bad as that sounds, for the untimely death of my mother. And now it's just me and my old man. I live at home until I decide to make a move. We'll see. But that's where I'm at in my life. I'm no longer kind of grasping at straws. I was. Everything is slowly sort of starting to fix itself. It's starting to... There was a time there where I didn't even know where to start. When your bedroom is so dirty and you don't even know where the fuck to start. That's where my life was. Where something had to give in order for me to be able to start to make sense of things. And things did give, but it took work, and it took effort, and it took practice, because there were many times that I had to get up, move, and go and do something out of an obligation that I made, and I didn't want to, but I had to. It's one foot in front of the other, or go fuck yourself. That is, if you have a passion or a goal that takes work. Things aren't just handed to you. If you have another type of job where it's a 9 to 5, you know the grind. It's the same thing. But you have to do what you have to do in order to make that money, to live the life that you'd like to live with your family and your friends, and whatever the reasons are we work for money. I get fulfillment. I get personal fulfillment out of my work, so that's a bonus. So luckily, hopefully, money, and then the personal fulfillment, which is great. But that's pretty much who I am. Do I think that I have a reason to hop on here and give my opinion on things? Yeah. You want to know why? Because I can. And if it gets way out of control and I realize that everyone fucking hates it, then I don't know what I would do on that. Would I retaliate like a baby? Would I take a different approach? Would I say, maybe I went about it the wrong way the first time? Or would I just completely stop? I don't know. Either way is... I just keep forcing myself to do it because I love it. And I love you guys for watching. For the time being, this is just a who I am. And why you should maybe give a damn And fuck you if you don't.